Good evening. I'm here with Romaric from Qovery, a container as a service platform. Hello, Romaric. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, hello. Thank you.
Could you tell us a bit more about what Qovery is, what you do?
Yeah, sure. So Qovery is a container as a service platform for developers. What we do is that basically we help developers to deploy their application in the cloud without having to manage the underlying infrastructure.
Okay, amazing. And how long have you been around? Is this a new company?
Yeah, so we started in October 2019. We've been accelerated by Techstars. Then, the product has been launched for 1 year now, but we are in the business for more than 10 years.
Oh, wow, that's really exciting. And I heard that you're also part of the startup program at Scaleway. Could you tell me a bit more about your experience with us?
Yeah, sure. We've been. So first of all, that's something that is quite interesting. Is that we have met. So Jan, the CEO of Scaleway at Techstars during the acceleration. I've also met Pascal Condamin, which is part of the program, the startup program. And since then, we have worked together on multiple things, trying to do partnerships. Helping developers to ship their applications as easy as possible with Scaleway, and there's a ton of things to do. So,
well, it sounds very exciting. And as this is a Kubernetes event, I imagine that you yourself use Kubernetes and manage databases, things like that. Could you tell us a bit about your experience, what you use?
Yeah, sure. So the goal of Qovery is not to reinvent the wheel. There's tons of services that are already existing in the market. Scaleway is doing that pretty much, other cloud providers as well. What we do is that we take advantage of what they provide, so at least Kubernetes for the stateless part, but we are also relying on what they provide as a managed services, mostly for databases. So what we do is that we bring an abstraction layer on top of all those services that are existing for the developers, and we make sure that they can just ship and deploy their application as easy as possible.
Okay, great. And could you maybe give us a use case example? I'm sure lots of people watching would be really interested to know how exactly they could benefit from what you do.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the goal is to be completely integrated into their working environment. What does that mean? It means that all the developers in the market are using today, at least most, but not all of them, Git. And what we do is that being integrated into their Git provider, so GitHub and GitLab, the only things that they need to do is to connect to Qovery, to select the repository that they want to deploy, the different services, the cloud provider, and Qovery takes care of provisioning the infrastructure and deploying their application. So if you're a developer and working on a backend, like any kind of a service that you want to get online, you can just select your repository on those Git provider and ship your application with Qovery.
Sounds like it must be very good for the developers to use. And could I ask you what the impact would be for a typical client who would come to use Qovery? Would this, it's the idea is that it's really going to simplify things for them. What would the impact be?
Yeah, it's the gain of productivity mostly. It's what we sell. In fact, we are not selling anything like this, but it's just to make sure that they can excel their go-to-market. So we have two kinds of, we have the developers, we are focusing on the experience for the developer, making sure that they can just ship their applications, be completely focused on what they're doing. But for companies, because we sell, and that's the way we make money at least, is that we sell productivity. And the way that we're doing that is by just combining different methodologies, like the GitOps methodology, the fact that they're working as a squad teams. And what we do is that we bring all the tools that they need to make sure that their organization and the developers that are working all together can do it in the best way.
Okay. And what would be your favorite tool of all the tools that you offer?
Sorry?
What would be your favorite tool of all of the ones you've just, you've said there are lots of different tools they can choose from. Do you have a favorite? Maybe you don't.
Yeah, I have one because I'm a developer. The one that I really like, which is not part of this space, is IntelliJ IDEA. So it's a IDE. It's the environment that is used by the developer to code these applications. So it's a code editor. And I really like this tool. The joke that I made most often is that IntelliJ is not just a code editor; it's a complete operating system. Because if you want to do anything, you can do it through their plugin system. If you need to have a terminal, then you can open the terminal. If you need to run anything, it's completely crazy. So yeah, that's probably my favorite developer tools.
Thanks for answering the question. That's a bit out there, I know. Coming back to Scaleway now, can you tell us a bit about your experience with the startup program? I gather that you've been quite interested in the startup field, lots of getting involved with all the startup programs that are out there. What's been your experience with Scaleway?
Yeah, so first of all, when I decided to get into the startup program, what I wanted to look at is mostly their cloud offer for two reasons. For my personal usage, because most of the time I'm doing like also personal project and I like to try things, but also for proposing, making sure that I know a bit more about what they provide for my customer. Because the goal of Qovery is not to reinvent anything. Like you have cloud providers like Scaleway, and just making sure that it's accessible to any of them. So the goal of this startup program was really to dig into with the teams, the different teams, what's their vision, what they want to provide, seeing if there's some alignment, and that's the case. So that's very good.
Well, I'm really glad that you're enjoying being part of the program. I wonder now, as you know, that we have the Breakathon happening. Would you have any tips? Our developers who are trying it out have a few hours to go until we'll close the competition. So would you have any tips or hints, anything you'd suggest they think about in the last few hours to try and squeeze more points?
I don't know if I have any tips, but the first thing that came in my mind is how can I just create a high workload on those servers, on those Kubernetes things. And I was like, I written a post on it. Yeah, let's try to do like a very high intensive infinite loop or things like that. And I'm really eager to know exactly how people are just trying to make this workload very high. So I don't have any tips, but I'm quite eager to see what they will do.
Well, if you stay tuned later, hopefully we'll hear some anecdotes about what's been happening, any funny things that happen behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll get to hear all about that later.
Yeah.
And let's just close on an anecdote. Maybe, do you have any anecdotes that you'd like to share? Maybe something about Kubernetes?
Kubernetes, a very huge topic. There's a ton of things to say about Kubernetes. Maybe the things that I have in mind is there's a lot of noise around this technology, and this is a great technology for sure, but also the promise is to be for anyone to be the next Google, like all those things. There's a lot of, probably a lot of noise around the technology itself. It's a very promising one, but very complex at the same time. I don't have, I've started to work on Kubernetes like early days. In probably 2016, something like that. Yeah, it's a very, I don't have any anecdote, right? Yeah, no.
That's okay. Well, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. That was Romaric from Qovery. And next up, we'll have a short break before we're joined by Gaspar from Scaleway. Thank you.
Thank you.